Hey guys, happy Monday, April 6th. We made it through 1 week of e-learning, so let's do it over again. So we are going to today recap chapter 18. Okay, so we're going to go over the last chapter that we read together. We're also going to read chapter 19 of Liddy together, and then your assignment for today is going to be on Flipgrid again, doing a character response, and I'll explain a little bit more about that later. So when we're looking at the learning target, it is I can describe character traits for Liddy and give evidence to support my answers using Flipgrid. So basically, you're really going to have to pay attention to Liddy in this chapter, and you're going to have to give me character traits, things that would describe her and how she acts in chapter 19. But you also have to be able to give me evidence for that as well. Why do you think that she is the way that she is? Okay, so let's go ahead and start with recapping chapter 18. And then we can, let me erase that. And then we can move on to chapter 19. Okay, so when we're recapping chapter 18, what happened? So Rachel went with Charlie to live with the Finneys. So Rachel gets picked up by Charlie. Charlie was the visitor, and Rachel goes to live with the Finneys. Now, Liddy continues to work at the corporation. She's still working there. She doesn't really like that Rachel has to go, but this is the best for her. She's getting sick. She needs to go somewhere where she has a family to take care of her. At the end, Liddy gets a letter from Luke Stevens, the neighbor, asking her to be his wife. Now, she's really angry that he would ask this because he already bought her farm and now it's like he wants to buy her too. She says, "I will not be a slave." She feels like they are treating her like she is someone to be bought, like she is a slave. She does not like this, and it even brings her to tears at the end of chapter 18. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick up with chapter 19. So I'm going to go ahead and move to the book, chapter 19. It is called Diana. So let's go ahead and start reading. I'm going to be following along on the PDF online, so you can follow along with me. Okay. She had been alone before Rachel came, but she had not known what loneliness was, the sharp pain in her breastbone dragging down into a dull, persistent heaviness. My heart is heavy, she thought. It's not just a saying. It is what it is. Heavy, a great stone lodged in my breast, pressing down my whole being. How can I even stand straight and look out upon the world? I'm doubled over into myself, and for all the weight, find only emptiness. Workdays dragged by with nothing to look forward to at the evening bell. Rumor had it that the corporation had slowed the clocks to squeeze even more minutes out of the long summer shift. From time to time, she wondered why she was working so hard now that the farm was sold and Rachel and Charlie lost to her. She brushed the question aside. She worked hard because work was all she knew, all she had. Everything else that made her know herself as Liddy Worthen was gone. Nothing but hard work, so hard that her mind became as calloused as her hands. Work alone remained. She fell into bed exhausted and only felt the full burden of her grief in dreams, which, determined as she was, she could not control. The weavers at the Massachusetts Corporation had all refused the agent's demand that they each tend 4 looms and take a piece rate reduction as well. They signed a pledge in defiance, and none of them backed down. The word went like a whispered wave through the Concord weaving room. Not a girl has backed down, not a one. Diana should have been elated. Wasn't it a victory for the association? But when Liddy was finally able to rouse herself from her own pain, she saw that Diana's face was drawn, the expression grim and set. Since Rachel had gone, whenever Bridget or Diana had tried to reach out to her, she had shaken them off. No one could understand her loss, she was sure. She did not have the strength to bear their vain attempts to comfort. Then suddenly it was mid-July, and Liddy realized that Diana was still at work, looking more sickly by the day. It was more than the heat of the weaving room. She's worried, Liddy thought. She's sore troubled, and I, so bent on my own trial, never took it to mind. Liddy tried to speak to Diana on the stairs, but she seemed hardly to hear the greeting. Are they threatening her with dismissal? With blacklisting? A chill went through Liddy. She thought she had nothing else to lose, but suppose Diana was to go? Diana, the one person who, from her first day on, had treated her like a proper person. The only one who had never laughed at Liddy's queer mountain speech or demanded that she change her manners or her mind. All the girls took their burdens to Diana. She was always the one who came to help you. Nobody ever thought of Diana needing help. She's ill, like Betsy and Rachel and Prudence and a host of others, Liddy thought. She's worked here too long and too hard. How much longer could Diana last? How much longer could any of them last? I must do something for her, Liddy decided. Give her a present. There was only one present good enough. Diana? Liddy worked her way through the jostling crowd of operatives crossing the yard. I've been thinking. She glanced around to see if anyone was listening, but all the girls were too intent on rushing home for their suppers. About even now that she had made up her mind, she couldn't quite bring herself to speak the forbidden word in the very courtyard of the corporation. She took a deep breath. I've been thinking on signing. The older girl turned to her and put her hand on Liddy's sleeve. Well, she said, and Liddy couldn't quite make out the rest of the clamor in the yard, but it sounded something like, well, we'll see, as Diana let herself be carried away in the rushing stream of operatives. But I mean it, thought Liddy. I mean it. Now, let's pause there for a second. Remember, she's talking about the petition, signing the petition. So Liddy has finally decided that she wants to sign it, and that's what she's talking to Diana about. Okay, let's keep going. Earlier in the spring, she had known that there were girls in her own house secretly circulating the petition, but now that she had made up her mind to it, she wanted to do it for Diana. How could it be a true present otherwise? After supper, she put on her bonnet and went to Diana's boarding house. She asked one of the girls in the front room of number 3 for Diana. Diana Goss? The girl asked with a sneer. It's Tuesday. She'll be at her meeting. Oh. The girl looked her up and down as though memorizing her features. Maybe the girl was a corporation spy. Stare her down, Liddy told herself. The other was shorter than she, so when Liddy stood tall and looked down into her eyes, the girl shifted her gaze. It's at their reading room on Central Street. She glanced back at Liddy. The sneer had returned. Number 76. All are welcome, so I'm told. In for a penny, in for a pound, thought Liddy, and made her way into town. The meeting had already begun. Someone was reading minutes. The 40 or so girls crowded into the small room looked almost like a sewing circle. So many of the girls were doing mending or needlework. Hello, the young woman who seemed to be in charge interrupted the secretary's droning. Come on in. Liddy stepped into the room, looking about uncertainly for a chair. To her relief, she saw Diana, getting up and coming toward her. You came, she said, her tired features relaxing into a smile. It reminded her of that first night when she had gone to see Diana, except then Diana had looked lovely and full of life. She took Liddy to a place where there were 2 vacant chairs and sat beside her while the meeting carried on. It was hard for Liddy to follow the discussion. They were planning something for some sort of rally at the end of the month. She kept waiting for someone to mention the petition so she could declare herself ready to sign, but no one did. At the first curfew bell, the woman in charge pronounced the meeting adjourned until the following Tuesday, and the girls broke into a buzz, gathering their sewing things together and putting on bonnets to leave. The woman who had been in charge came over to where Liddy was standing with Diana. She stretched out her hand. I'm Mary Emerson, she said. Welcome. I think this is your first time with us. Liddy shook the woman's hand and nodded. This is my friend, Lydia Worthen, Diana said. She's thinking about joining us. Miss Emerson turned expectantly to Liddy. I come to sign the petition, Liddy said. The woman cocked her head, seemingly puzzled. What was the matter with her? The one to ask for 10-hour workdays. Why was she explaining the petition to a leader of the movement? It was crazy. Maybe next year, Diana was saying quietly. No, I made up my mind to it. I want to do it now, tonight. But we've already submitted it, Miss Emerson said. We had to, before the legislature recessed for the year. She had at long last made up her mind to do it, and now it was too late? But next year, Diana repeated, you can put your name in the very first column if you like. Yes, said Miss Emerson brightly. That's our motto. We'll try again. Since 4,000 names didn't convince them, next year we'll have to get 8. She gave Liddy the kind of encouraging smile a teacher gives to a slow pupil. We'll need all the help we can get. Liddy stood there, open-mouthed, looking from Diana's thin face to the other woman's robust one. Too late. She'd come too late. She was always too late. Too late to save the farm, too late to keep her family together, Too late to do for Diana the only thing she knew to do. We'd better get you back to number 5, Diana was saying, like she was some helpless child who needed tending. You wouldn't want to be late. They hurried down the dimly lit streets toward the Concord boarding houses without speaking. Liddy wanted to explain, to say she was sorry, to somehow make it up to Diana, but she didn't know how to do it. As they neared number 5, Diana broke the silence. Thank you for coming tonight. Oh, Diana, I come too late. You came as soon as you could. I'm always too late to do any good. Liddy, Diana was hesitating. I'll miss you. What was she saying? I ain't going nowhere. I'll be right here, next year and the next. No, I'm the one who'll be leaving. But where would you be going? Diana had always said that the mill was her family. Boston, I think. I don't understand. Are you ailing? Liddy, if I don't leave here soon, right away in fact, I'll be dismissed. It's because of the cuss petition. They're trying to get you. No, not that. I wish it were. They had stopped walking and stood several yards away from the steps of number 5. They both watched the heavy door swing open and glimpsed the light inside as 2 girls hurried in to beat the final bell. It's because, oh, Liddy, don't despise me. I could never do that. How could Diana say such a thing? Liddy, I've been, I don't know, foolish, wicked. What are you talking about? You could never be. Oh, yes. She was silent for a moment, as though sifting the words she needed from the chaff of her thoughts. I'm going to have a child, Liddy. A what? Her voice had dropped to a stunned whisper. She tried to search Diana's features, but it was too dark to read her expression. Who done this to you? She asked finally. Oh, Liddy, no one done it to me. Then he'll marry you, eh? He's not free to marry. There's a wife in Concord. She wouldn't come to live here in a factory town, though her father is one of the owners. Diana's laugh was short and harsh. It was that doctor. Liddy was sure of it. He looked so kind and gentle, and all the time. But what will you do? She could hear now the shrillness in her voice. She tried to tone it down. Where can you go? I've got some savings, and he's determined to help as he can. I'll find work. We'll manage, the baby and I. It ain't right. I'll need to go soon. I can't bring dishonor on the association. Any whisper of this, and our enemies will dance like dervishes with delight. She could hear the grim amusement in Diana's voice. I won't hand them a weapon to destroy us, not if I can possibly help it. How can I help you? Oh, Diana, I've been so blind. She touched Liddy's cheek lightly. Let's just pray everyone has been as blind. I'll write you, if I may, tell you how things go. You've been so good to me. I'll miss you, little Liddy. The final bell began to clang. Quick, slip in before they lock you out. Diana. But the older girl pushed her toward the door and hurried away down the street toward number 3. The word passed around the floor next morning was that Diana Goss had left, snatching an honorable dismissal while she could still get it. Much more of her radical doings, and she would have been blacklisted, or so the rumors went. Okay, so I do want to go back to page 152 here, where Liddy says that I was too late. And I'm going to go ahead and put a stamp next to where I'm talking about here. Too late. She'd come too late. She was always too late to save the farm, too late to keep her family together, too late to do for Diana the only thing she knew to do. So I want you to think about, how does Liddy feel about everything in her life, everything that has gone down, everything that has happened in Liddy's life that kind of forms who she is as a character. So that is going to be a quote that you might want to go back to when you have to do your character response. Okay, this kind of is a big one that tells you how she feels about her life and everything that has happened so far. Okay, I did want to also go back down to the very end when Diana tells us that the reason why she's leaving is because she's pregnant. Okay, so she's pregnant, and now we know why Diana was ignoring Liddy in the streets, because the person she was walking with was that doctor who is already married. She says right here that he's not free to marry. Okay, He's not free to marry. There's a wife in Concord. She wouldn't come to live here in a factory town, though her father is one of the owners. So this guy that got her pregnant is the doctor, and he's already married. So this is a big scandal. Diana has to leave because of this, because she doesn't want to bring any dishonor. She doesn't want to make the association look bad. Okay. So this whole chapter, I want you to think about Liddy's as a person, as a character, what she is like, okay? And so your assignment is gonna be on Flipgrid. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to Flipgrid. Oops, I put a star there on accident. I did not mean to do that. So let's go to Flipgrid. I'm gonna use 6th period as my example for this one. So remember, when you do flipgrid.com/rook, whatever period you're in, or you go to Edsby and find the link on Edsby, it's in the library. When you code to enter your ID, it's gonna be your lunch number. So let me put in my code here for 6th period, okay? So once you get into the class, remember all the topics are right here at the top, okay? So you wanna click on those topics. You have already done the say hello on Flipgrid. You've already done the all about me. The 3 emojis book talk was last week. And now the book talk character response is the one that you are going to click, okay? So book talk character response. I've also given you chapter 19 right here. I have given you, sorry, hold on, I was gonna try and draw here. It's not very pretty, but I've given you chapter 19 already that you can listen to right there, okay? And now, what do you have to do? It's an or here, okay? So you can choose number 1 or number 2. So number 1, how would you describe the main character in chapter 19, which would be Liddy? Give examples from your reading of their actions, thoughts, and words to support your thinking. Is this a character you would be friends with? Why or why not? So you can choose to do this one, or what has the character done in your reading to surprise you? Do you agree with these actions? Why or why not? What actions do you predict the character will make in the next few chapters? What makes you think this? You can choose that one. Okay, so you're either choosing number 1 or number 2, not both, only one of these. Okay, so you're describing Liddy's actions, thoughts, words. You're telling me if you would be friends with her, why or why not. Think about how she reacts to Diana, how she's a friend to Diana. Or what has she done that surprises you? Okay, do you agree with what she did? Why or why not? What actions do you predict she'll make in the next couple of chapters? Now that everyone's gone, Diana's now gone, her sister is gone, you know, all of her roommates are gone. What do you think is going to happen, and what makes you think that? Okay, so it's either or. Okay, now remember, to add one to it, you need to scroll down. Let me clear out that line there. You need to scroll down and you're hitting the plus button. Make sure that you are going all the way through to the end, okay? You need to go all the way to the end when it asks for a selfie. And let me spell that correctly. Okay, and then you need to actually submit it, or I won't be able to see it. Okay, it is moderated. That means that I look at it first. Okay, I'm not going to be putting these out for everybody to see until they're all completely done. Okay, so that way you're not cheating off of other people, and I haven't made your emoji book talks live either, because I don't want people cheating off of other people and stealing their emojis and stealing their ideas. So this is the way that I am able to tell if you can tell me about Liddy as a character, Liddy as a person. Okay, so you need to make sure you're either doing number 1 or number 2. Okay, let me scroll back up there so that you can see. You're either doing number 1 or number 2. How would you describe, or what has the character done to surprise you? Make sure you're answering all of the questions that go with this, okay? This is the only assignment for today. So we just read chapter 19 together, and you are doing this Flipgrid assignment on your own, okay? I will have all of this posted on Edsby, and remember, you can always go and look at the library in Edsby, and I'll actually go there right now. I'll show you what that looks like, okay? So when you log into your Edsby, which hopefully it's going to load, gotta love the internet here. So when you log into your Edsby and you go to my reading class, okay, so I'll just, again, I'll pick on 6th period here. You go to the main class. Now, you know in the middle is where I've been putting the assignments, but you also have the library on the right side. If you click into that library, you will see each week has the weekly video lessons. So this was all last week. So if you missed anything from last week, you can click last week's, and each day here, you have my video lessons from each of those days, and it's very organized and it's easier to see here, okay? You also have a Flipgrid information here. If you have questions about Flipgrid, this tells you the link. This gives you information. It's just a quick video. You have the Liddy book right here as a PDF that you can go back to. And then this is the student expectations for e-learning. So your schedule that you can keep up with, okay? So make sure that you're using those resources and that you're going to the library of the class. And let me go ahead and go back to the main thing here. So you're using the library of the class, which is on the right side, or you're checking in the main page of the class. I've deleted everything else so that it's pretty clear now, okay? So you can see the very first thing starts with your link to Flipgrid, okay? There's information about Flipgrid, and then I have Monday's assignments, Wednesday assignments, and Friday's assignments from last week, okay? So then I'll add in the Monday assignment, which is this video. You can always check the library for each of those videos for each of those days, okay? Please make sure you're messaging me. You can use that little message app at the top. See, I already have one right there. Message me if you have questions, okay? And I try to get back to those as quickly as possible. Okay, so I look forward to watching your Flipgrids of the character response, and tell me how you feel about Liddy and what you think about her as well. Okay, all right, have a wonderful Monday.